Hi everybody, this is Gayle. Welcome to my first ever Travel Tuesday Trivia Bodacious live stream. This has been quite the bodacious day, but we are going to have this Travel Trivia Tuesday challenges right now. And so if you have not subscribed, I want to invite you to go ahead and do so. We're doing this Travel Tuesday Trivia live stream every week, every Tuesday. So come check us out. Also, don't forget to share it because you may have friends that might want to come and even compete against you. So we're going to be giving away shout-outs. The shout-outs are going to be on YouTube and on other forms of social media. And we're even going to put some shout-outs over in our Facebook group. So you're going to want to join us there too. And that's facebook.com/Gayle, Gayle, vlogs, VLOGS. Again, facebook.com/Gayle vlogs. Weird spelling, I know. It's one channel in my life I can blame totally on my mother. I bet you can relate to that, some of you. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and start talking about this trivia. If somebody has not answered these trivia questions, you can do so in the comment section later. Okay, but in the meantime, let's go ahead and dive in and get started because I think you're going to enjoy hearing about some of this. For our first live stream, I wanted to kind of keep it kind of easy, okay? Make it just something that everybody can answer easily, or at least hopefully easily, we'll say. But we'll get into more complicated, more specific, small locations as we continue to do these live streams. So think about this basically as a warm-up, all right? So I chose this particular state because this state has such an impact on the season that we're in right now. And I see we have somebody who's joined us. So hi and welcome. Go ahead and dive right in. I think you're the first person we've got here. And so, all right, going back, I chose this state because of its impact on the holiday season that we're in right now. My first question for you is the state insect of this state is a butterfly, and the butterfly follows the Appalachian migration route from Mexico to Canada. And here's a fun fact: the insect lies on the milkweed plant, and milkweed is actually toxic to humans. So people who have ingested this plant that this insect relies on have gotten very, very sick, and some have passed away from it. So the insect relies on the milkweed plant. The migration route is from Mexico to Canada, and it follows the Appalachian migration. Okay, anybody guess what it is so far? Okay. Will it help to know if these are orange and black and they fly? Okay, so the state insect for this state, let me go back and recap it. Oh, we've got Lone Star Rider. Hey, how are you? It's good to see you. I hope you're doing well today. I saw your video on the geocache, and I love that, okay? I just love it. And I love that the geocache symbol is glow in the dark. I just think that's cool. So welcome to the first ever Travel Tuesday Trivia. We were just talking about, this is the overriding theme is to guess the state. But I've got other questions too. Glad you're getting, and you're welcome. Thanks for coming in. This state, okay, it has an insect. Hello, Dr. Dan 3. How are you? Hi and welcome. All right. So for the first shout out, the question is the state insect of this state, and we're going to guess the state. First, we're going to guess the insect. But if you can figure out what state it is, shout that out first. The state insect is one that migrates from Mexico to Canada, and it follows the Appalachian migration route. It is orange and black, and it flies. And a fun fact about it is these insects, they actually rely on the milkweed plant, which is toxic to humans. Okay. They also can be seen, one of the places you can see them might be Fort Morgan. Fort Morgan is at the mouth of Mobile Bay, so that may help you figure out what state. And the insect that we're talking about is going once, twice, 3 times. It's orange and black, and it flies, and it's the monarch butterfly. You got it, Dr. Dan 3, the Alabama and the monarch butterfly. There you go. You got them both. Nailed it. All right. So I'll be giving you a shout out in my next video. So, all right. So a little bit about Fort Morgan is that it is a state historic site, and it's open 7 days a week, but it is closed Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. It's got the fort itself, but it's also got, oh, you're welcome. And it's got the fort itself, but there's also a beach area, and the beach area is open an hour earlier and an hour later than the actual park. Mobile Bay itself, this fort is down there to help commemorate all of the action it's seen in the various wars. It was made really, really famous. If you've heard the line, "Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead," that was actually said by David Farragut, and he is from right outside of Knoxville, Tennessee. He later became an admiral. The Confederates had just made a floating minefield there at the mouth of the bay. David Farragut and his ships start coming to Mobile Bay. They are trying to oust the Confederates. He is a Unionist. Gets to the bay, he sees the minefield. One of the ships actually hits the mine and starts sinking. So he realizes that his troops are getting really nervous and scared, and they are about to exit on him. And that's when he said his famous line, "Damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead," and had them coming into Mobile Bay despite the minefield. And that kind of played havoc with the Confederates, because you can imagine the Confederates have these defenses up, and these defenses are designed to keep the Unionists out, and they keep coming. So the Battle of Mobile Bay was won by the Unionists, and they had the grounds there, and there is an admission charge. So if you go, you're going to want to check with them directly to find out what the admission is. So also, Alabama is in the Central Time Zone, and it is bordered by Mississippi, Tennessee, the Gulf Coast, Florida, and one other state. Can anybody guess what that state is? I'll read them again. Mississippi, Tennessee, Florida, the Gulf Coast, and one other state. Although it is, I don't know how that got left off, so I'm going to count that. Louisiana. Louisiana is actually what I was looking for. I don't know how I left that off. Thank you for that. Also interesting about Alabama and Louisiana. A lot of us credit New Orleans for being home of Mardi Gras, But the first Mardi Gras actually took place in Mobile back in 1700s, about 15 years before New Orleans had their Mardi Gras. So that's a fun fact for you. It was in 1703, and New Orleans didn't come along, like I said, for another 15 years. So they get credit, Mobile does. All right, for a Twitter shout out, here we go, Twitter shout out. The city of blank has a nickname of the rocket capital of the world for their work with the Saturn V rocket booster and Marshall Space Flight Center. What is the name of the city? They got its nickname from their work with the Saturn V rocket booster and Marshall Space Flight Center. What might the nickname be? I mean, what might the city be? Okay, the nickname is Rocket Capital of the World, and the city, which has the nickname Rocket Capital of the World, is Huntsville. That's where the Marshall Space Flight Center is, and you actually can go to the center and tour it. They've got lots of things on the inside and outside, and there's a Saturn V right there on the grounds. And so you can go in, you can either see the center and even take a tour of it. Again, that is something where they do charge an admission. Okay. All right, we're going to do this next one for Twitter shout out also. Alabama does not have any national parks. Okay? No national parks in the state of Alabama. However, according to the National Park Service, they have 3 national monuments, 2 national historic sites, a national military park, a national preserve, a national heritage area, a national parkway, a national scenic trail, and a national historic trail. I want you to name 2 of the sites, and this is for Twitter, okay, for Twitter shout outs. 2 of the sites in Alabama. I will give you a hint. One of them has to do with some prehistoric history there. There's a cave. Some cave dwellers used to be occupants of this cave. And it is in northern Alabama. Okay, well, that site that I'm thinking of is Russell Cave. So Russell Cave. A very famous event took place on one of the 2 historic events. Took place on the National Historic Trail. One took place in the 1960s, and it was a civil rights march, and it went from Selma to someplace else, and it would be the Selma to something trail. I don't want to up. And another site that you could name, and again, I'm looking for 2 of these. Another site has to do with Native American history. It's a trail. Native Americans had to walk through several states and be transported. 18 was the year that the Cherokee were rounded up and put on this trail. And it was a very sad time. Oops. Hold on. I got something coming in on Twitter. Yes, Trail of Tears. You got that one. Okay. And so very good, Gloria. Trail of Tears. But what was, Montgomery, yes. Selma to Montgomery and the Trail of Tears. You got it. So, yeah, I'll be shouting you out on Twitter. So thanks for following us on Twitter. I'll be shouting you out on that. So Selma to Montgomery, a very big, obviously, civil rights march that took place, and this trail commemorates that. The Trail of Tears commemorates, of course, the forced march of the Native Americans after they were forced off or removed from their tribal lands in the east and relocated to other lands out west. And let's see, I'm just going to go ahead and read off this list of some of the other sites, and I am going to put the links down below so you'll know where I got the information. And that is the national monuments. There's 2 national monuments, and that's the Birmingham Civil Rights Monument and the Freedom Riders. We also have the National Military Park of Horseshoe Bend. The National Preserve is the Little River Canyon, followed by the National Heritage Area of Muscle Shoals. The Parkway is and Scenic Trail, that's the Natchez Trace, which runs, it's a gorgeous drive running from like North Alabama on down through further south. It's I would allow, if you're a history buff and you want to drive the entire trail from start to finish, talking about the Natchez Trace, I would say to allow possibly 2 days if you want to drive the whole thing and you want to make stops. There's no charge to drive that, of course, but there is a charge for some of the places along the trail and some really gorgeous, gorgeous scenery. Also, the national monument being Russell Cave. Okay, Russell Cave is this large cave, and at the very mouth of it, as you start to go in, after you pull into the parking lot, and there's the visitor center right there. So you go into the visitor center, and they have a film, and they have some exhibits. Then you exit out the back of the visitor center and walk. It's a short boardwalk to the cave, maybe at most, I'm going to say 5 minutes max. And at the mouth of the cave, you've got different scenes that have been set up to help depict what life would have been like for the prehistoric peoples that used to live there. And it is a fascinating stop. So if you're in North Alabama and you are interested in kind of history like that, it really is an interesting place to stop. Now, fees are charged at several of these places. So what I would suggest, and that's at pretty much, okay, the historic sites of the Tuskegee Airmen and Tuskegee Institute. Some of these, like I said, have the info. But what I suggest is if you have a National Parks Pass, take it with you, because it's not just good at the national parks, but at the national monuments, historic sites, and so forth also. The passes are, you can get a free pass if you are disabled. They have a free pass for 4th graders. So if you don't have a 4th grader, but you could borrow one for the day, then that might be an option. They also have senior citizens passes, which you can purchase, and they're good for a lifetime, as well as passes for people who volunteer a certain number of hours, and passes for military. So what you need to do to find out about those is go to the National Park Service website and check that out, or go to a national park / monument / historic site near you. They will ask for verification if you get the pass for the disabled, which is called the Access Pass. but that is a free pass, and it is good for the lifetime. And anytime you need these, you use these passes, you will need ID because they'll ask for that. Okay? And there are some interesting facts about Alabama that also encouraged me to choose this state is its impact on the season that we're in right now. And the two fun facts, these are freebies, are what state was the first to declare Christmas a holiday? That was Alabama. And they declared Christmas a holiday back in 1836. And that was the forerunner to us having the national holiday of Christmas. The other thing is, I don't think people realize that the state bird of Alabama, the state bird, the game bird of Alabama is the wild turkey, which is what we just had at Thanksgiving and a bunch of us are fixing to have again at Christmas. So those are the two facts that when I read them, I said, aha, I have to do Alabama for the first state for the Travel Tuesday trivia. So, yep. So that does it for this week. We've gone through our page and part of a page. I'm going to be listing these a little later this afternoon on the Bodacious Broads travelblog.com. That is the blog that goes with this channel. So I'll be listing it there, as well as the sources of where I took the information will be there and also in the description box. Okay? So, thank you all so much for coming out today. I hope you've enjoyed it. And we are going to do this again next week, except it's going to be 10 in the morning instead of 11. We ran into some tech issues. I think some of the snow was interfering with our signal. So I said, forget that. Anyway, I know I'll run into a better signal out of town because we're coming into a major city here. And so yeah, I decided to do it on the road. So I hope that worked out okay for you guys. So not all of these are going to be live. Sometimes they will be a premiere, but we'll still have questions that you can answer and get those shout outs and postcards and things. So thank you all so much for hanging out. You have a bodacious day. Always hashtag be bodacious, which simply means you're not going to let life get in the way of living. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you out, about, and online. Bye.